We all want to learn way more than what we actually have time for. So many of you ask me on a regular basis, what books would I recommend? What books have I read this year? In today's video, I'm going to share with you the best books I've read in 2023, how they've helped me and how they can potentially help you. But I'm also going to share with you how you can get through books a hell of a lot faster. And no, this is not speed reading, but the biggest takeaway here is don't just think by reading a book, it's going to fix everything, because you actually have to apply what the book says and take the action. Otherwise, you will forever go around in circles. And as we know, that if you truly want to change, if you truly want to improve, then you'll do it. However, if you don't, then you won't. And it's as simple as that. Too many people get caught up on this. I want to do this, I want to do that. However, they're not taking action. So what I will say is, if you are willing to truly change, then go and change. If not, I probably wouldn't keep wasting your money buying books, because that next book isn't going to help you if you haven't actually read the previous books, or you're not going to read said book. How many books have you bought this year, last year, the year before, and you still yet to read them? You're still saying you're going to go through them, but then you see someone online perhaps say, this book's a great read, and you go and buy it urgently because you see that person with some form of success, and you assume that they must be successful because of that book. It's the fact they've taken it upon themselves to actually implement the knowledge they've received from that book, many other books and lessons they've received in life. So I think you also have to understand that no one book is going to fix it. We can also be very guilty of this, and I mentioned this in last week's video, where when you're going through, say, a piece of content, whether it's a video, whether you're learning to trade, whether you're learning to do something online, whatever it might be, we get guilty of almost going through the video once and then moving on to the next video and the next video. And we say to ourselves, I understood everything. That's usually when you need to go back to the beginning and rewatch said video. And I think it's the same with books. How many of you can recite a book like the back of your hand, right? You should be able to know a book like the back of your hand. However, we don't. We read it, we drop it. Some of us might take notes, and then we move on to the next book. And what we're doing is we're just constantly in pursuit of new knowledge. However, we're not actually implementing the knowledge. So you can have all the knowledge in the world and you can have all this information, but if you're not actually implementing it, it's kind of pointless. Today's video is brought to you by Shortform. Shortform is the best way to learn ideas from all the books you've always wanted to read. Shortform makes the world's best guides to non-fiction books. They're like book summaries on steroids. This gives you a great way to essentially get an insight into what the book's about before purchasing it and sitting it on your shelf. Then, if you like what you've read from the summarization of the book, you can then just go and purchase the book for yourself. For those that do like having the physical book, this is not to say that you don't need to ever buy a book again, but what it can do is it can filter the amount of books you buy. You get an insight into what the book is actually about and a decent summary. They have interactive exercises to help you apply the ideas you learn so you don't forget them. Shortform have been kind enough to give me not only a free trial, but a 20% off your annual subscription. If you check the link in the description, or you use www.shortform.com/alb. Shout out Shortform for sponsoring today's video. So the first great read of this year was The Dip by Seth Godin. It's only like 70 pages, if that, so it's a very short book. If it's something you're looking to read, I highly recommend it. The key takeaways from this is that it's okay to quit, and that quitting sometimes has its advantages. Sometimes we can be pursuing things that actually don't have any advantage to us. However, we hold on to them because we're fearful of quitting. It's all about quitting the wrong stuff and sticking with the right stuff. It's a great book. Took a lot of value from it. And like I say, it's a very short book. It basically talks about how life has ups, downs, dips, the usual stuff that we know. If you study and understand, it will help. It will help an element of your life. The next book is Die with Zero. This is an incredible book from Bill Perkins, who was actually a hedge fund manager. And in this book, he talks about, getting all you can with your money and essentially dying with zero. Now, it might sound a bit deep, focusing on death. However, at some point, it's going to happen, right? And I think too many of us are bound by this kind of false interpretation of life that we're built from a young age, from the images that we're shown, that, life is all about work really hard now, and when you're 65, 70, you can retire and then enjoy life. However, that couldn't be any further from the truth. I would rather enjoy my life now while I'm young, in my prime, my kids, with my partner, whatever it is, and make memories and make experiences that last a lifetime. Because waiting until 65, 70, again, some of us might not get there. That's not to be doom and gloom, but we never know what can happen. And rather than dwell on that, it's about being in the here and now. Bill Perkins does a really good job of explaining that we should aim to invest our money in enriching experiences and making memories. Now, he does point out that this book is probably aimed for people that are already quite well off financially, because he understands that a lot of people obviously can't just do whatever they wish and blow money on crazy experiences, because a lot of people are making ends meet. But it does give you a different perspective on things, and it makes you think that those things that you perhaps want to experience, they can also motivate and drive you to a greater level. And it's why people talk about almost touching your future, whether it's going on a first class flight, going to a 5-star hotel, getting picked up by a chauffeur, buying something you've always wanted. Sometimes it's really important, even if you can't afford it to a degree, to go and do said thing, because the motivation from doing it and seeing what your future self could be, provided you do the work and provided you put the time and effort in required to get there, this is a life that you could actually have. Going and doing said experience could drive an absolute rocket up your ass that makes you want to work harder, that makes you want to push yourself on a greater level, and can start to form a part of your why. Now, I would never say have your why on a materialistic object. I think Tristan Tate says something which I took, which funny enough actually resonates quite well with this book. Treat life in this way: 50% of your earnings for if you're going to live for the next 50 years, and 50% of your earnings for if you're going to live for the next 50 days. It's quite deep, but when you can start to kind of balance things out in that way, where you're almost going, I'm going to enjoy myself to some degree, as well as think about the long term, and you can portion money. Richest man in Babylon, about how you should take the first 10%. You shouldn't just go and get all your earnings and go and blow it on a night out or blow it on a pair of shoes or whatever. You should budget and manage and go, right, this is a portion for my investments. This is a portion for, my bills. This is a portion for me to enjoy, separating things. So again, great book. And I know recently Ali Abdaal read this, and he's actually then since packed up everything and gone traveling for a year, because he just figured, why not? And I know this book helped him a lot. So yeah, great book, highly recommend, and you can read it on short form. So again, if you're looking to sort of get a quick one-page summary, again, short form have got you covered. And then the next one is How to Be Confident by James Smith. I've read all his books. I've followed him from before he even had many followers. I've been getting his emails for years. The guy is done incredible, especially in the niche that he's in. And in this book, he essentially talks about how confidence is a superpower, and then he realized that superpowers wasn't actually a thing, but how being confident in all areas of your life can help you. And I always get asked, how are you so confident to maybe stand up and talk in front of people or do this sort of thing? And the reality of it is I just throw myself into the deep end and I just get it done. That's the long and short of it, is just get the thing done. Don't overthink it, and just put yourself in awkward positions. Like he says in the book, I can't remember the specific name for it. There's a name for it that I think went around on the internet, but essentially it was saying go into like your barista at Starbucks, Costa, Cafe Nero, Pret, wherever you get coffee from, and sort of saying, can I have 10% off please? And that kind of awkwardness of putting yourself in that situation when you know full well the barista's going to kind of look at you and be like, you having a laugh, mate? There is no 10% off. But in doing that, you're almost pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And this book is about essentially pushing yourself out of that comfort zone, doing things that perhaps scare you. And again, a quote that I read is, when we start to feel perhaps a sense of anxiousness, our palms start to sweat, or we feel sweaty in different areas, perhaps butterflies in our belly, that can be just your body's priming you for a new task, a new challenge. It's not that you're weird or that something's wrong. It's just that you've built up a scenario in your head and your body is priming you for it. And then going ahead and facing it head on is truly what makes you grow and pushes you to that next level. And essentially it's about stop making excuses and just living confidently. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. It's going to test you, but will it be worth it? Absolutely. And I think that is, the ultimate thing at the end of the day. Anything that we're pursuing in life is not easy, because again, cliche saying, but everyone would be doing it and everyone would have it. But those that actually push the boundaries, those that take themselves to the next level, they elevate and they do grow. So again, this has been a great read. I've read this a couple of times. Very good book. And like I say, if you haven't read his other books, highly recommend checking them out. And then the last book of this year that I read was The Diary of a CEO, The 33 Laws of Business. Obviously, as you know, I've launched a new business with Elysium, and I just wanted to kind of brush up on a few things, make sure I understood business on a greater level, and just learning, that's what it's all about: learning, growing, building myself on a greater level. So in this book, obviously, he covers 33 laws of business, different things that he's implemented over the years and different lessons he's had, experienced, and shares with us. So in this book, Stephen talks about the 5 buckets, and essentially what they are is what you know, your knowledge, what you can do, your skills, who you know, i.e. your network, what you have, such as your resources, and what the world thinks of you, your reputation. And he talks about how it's very important to get these buckets in order first. A lot of us go on this journey of pursuing all of them at once, when it's really important that you sort of have the knowledge and the skills, and these are the 2 most important things. Because essentially, if you have a skill, it can't be taken away from you. And this is something like trading. If you have the skill of trading, if you understand trading, and no one can take that away from you, whether you're in a community, whether you're a coach somewhere, whatever it might be, you won't lose that skill. Just like if you can ride a bike, if you can swim, whatever it is, the skill won't go anywhere, and the knowledge that you have, that you consume and that you implement on a day-to-day basis, that won't go anywhere. So it's important to ensure that we have enough knowledge and we have a skill set that we're good at, not just average or bang average. And it's no good having hundreds of skills that you're bang average at. What are you really and truly good at? And then dig into that and pursue that. And essentially a quote from the book is, those who hoard gold have riches for a moment. Those who hoard knowledge and skills have riches for a lifetime. The prosperity is what you know and what you can do. And I think that relates massively to, any of us, whether we're pursuing in trading, whether we're pursuing business, whatever it is that you're pursuing. I think if you have the knowledge and skills and you can apply them, then you will be successful, provided you have yourself in check, you have your mind in check, you're willing to grow, you're willing to remain teachable, you're willing to learn, you've dropped your ego, and you're zoned in and focused on you. And you just need to surround yourself with that right network, that network that's going to help you grow and help you elevate. It gives you some really insightful things into how some of the top businesses actually operate and function. It talks about how Apple, one of their biggest things was obviously opening a store and allowing people to physically touch, hold, and use the products. And the members of staff are told not to push or pressure sell and not to essentially make people leave the store. You can stay in the Apple store as long as you like and use the products. And what this does is it almost gives the user a sense of feeling of they own this product is theirs, and then it makes them want to buy it. It also touches on failure and how most businesses fail, but what's important is failing quick and moving on from it, learning from it and going again. Too many businesses are scared of failing. Too many businesses or people in general are worried of, what if I fail? What if this happens? However, the reality of it should be is, right, I failed. What can I learn from this failure? Move forward with conviction and speed and go again. I think it was Law 21 where he talks about failure and he talks about out failing the competition, and essentially where you should get ahead of your competitors by almost being willing to fail and fail quickly and then move on from that. And he talks about how some of the biggest brands in the world have done exactly that, and that's propelled them into a new realm. Each book I've shared all kind of touches on similar stuff, but in its own different way or different light. But these are the top 4 books, that I'd recommend for this year that I've read. They've helped me tremendously in implementing them. And they're kind of the 4 books that I just keep rereading because they're the books that have kind of gravitated towards me the most. They're also from authors that I like, especially these two. Stephen and James I've followed for a long time before they were even as big as they now are. And I just relate to what they say. I like how they conduct themselves. I like their values. I like what they share. So I think that's a big thing as well when you're reading books. If you actually can relate to an author to a degree, or you like an author's work, then dig into their work. I think sometimes we can have too many books, too many things, and we can almost take the knowledge in. It goes in one ear, out the other. And are you but 1% better every day? And essentially that's what matters. It's not about someone online. It's not about someone you're looking up to. You should be looking up to yourself. You should be thinking about yourself. You shouldn't have someone's 6-pack abs as your screensaver on your phone. It's going to make you feel like shit. You should have yourself last year to where you are now. You should have your bank account last year to where you are now. You should be focusing on you. Of course, use people for motivation and ways to level up your life. But what I'm saying is, if you're always comparing, comparison, as we know it, is the thief of joy, and it truly can make you feel shit if you're constantly looking at other people and thinking, oh my God, he's got that, she's got this, I want that, I want that. You need to focus on you, you need to find your purpose, you need to find your why, and then you need to have it large. So yeah, I know this video is a little bit different from the usual stuff, but I always get asked about books, I always get asked about reads and things I'm reading. Like I say, I don't read crazy amounts of books like I used to. I try to focus on a few and then use them for the whole year. Again, if you haven't checked out Shortform, it's free. There's a link in the description, or you can use www.shortform.com/alb. Check it out, let me know your thoughts, let me know your favorite reads in the description. Maybe there'll be a book in there that I might check out next. And as always, hope you have an incredible rest of your week, and I'll catch you in a bit. Peace and love, gang.